Who has a question? I'm here, I'm ready. Okay, oh, there's a question. So we're pulling a card for a surgery on Wednesday. The interesting one that we got here was for the surgery on Wednesday is Tate, the messenger, and it's about listening with your heart. What I would, what that would speak to me with if I was having a surgery is that we have to start to listen to the guidance that we're getting about our preparation. For years, we've been taught to give the doctors and everyone else all of the authority about what they want and what they think and all of that. And I think that the truth is, just as we're really learning with direct revelation, what the winds are teaching us, that we have to take the power of our healing into our own hands. And for a long time, I worked with somebody who had 4-stage breast cancer very young in her life. And I would say to her, because she'd say, "Oh, Renee, you're powerful, heal me." And I'd say, sometimes healing isn't curing. And I think that we forget that we think that we're shamans or we're healers and we're supposed to be able to heal people. But the truth of the matter is, there's always karma and there's always an experience of what we're here to learn. And sometimes in this healing of what we're here to learn, it's really about learning how to go deeper and take better care of ourselves in the process. And so, if there's a more specific question around that, so the second card I got for you is the card of empathy. And are you compassionate with yourself about your own situation? Or are you demanding things that your body's not wanting to do? And what it looks like is that there's going to be periods where you'll feel better and then periods where you won't feel as good, but that the real work comes in for listening from your own heart. Ah, I see a question about why the Camino and why that road to hike. That's an interesting question because when I got the call to walk the Camino, if any of you followed the story at all, it started because there was something that took place in my life that took me off my center. And I actually was waiting for an email for a trip to go to Greece and to go to Turkey because I thought that's where I was going next. And the email to go to the Camino came in first. And it had been on my bucket list for a long time, but I had forgotten about it in the busyness of writing books and life that it was there. And but when it came, I immediately responded, "What could I bring a group?" And so that set me off there. And the thing with places like the Camino is that, and like the Cotswolds and places where you pilgrimage, that you set an intention. You go there with an intention to reclaim a part of yourself or to, in my case, what it was, I had decided I was inconsequential, which I mean is really a silly thing when I look back at it a year later now with the oracle and the book written, but that I was at this place where I was settling into this life where everything was status quo and I needed to shake up the status quo. And so one of the things that you feel when you walk on a ley line or a place like in Machu Picchu or the places in Chile that I've hiked or even the places in the United States and Canada, and there's this beautiful trail that I've just seen, I think it's in Switzerland, and all of these places in Austria and places that we have, it's all sacred. But some things that makes it more sacred is that millions of pilgrims have walked that way before. So that along the way, many people have gone that way before you with the intention of a soulful expression of their own evolution. And the old saying, when two or more are gathered, there are love. Imagine when a million or more have walked this path before you, that all of these footsteps leave an energetic trail for you to walk onto. And you just feel it. And you feel the sacredness of it. Wendy would like to know, can the wind, it's not me, can the wind see doing work in the near future? What doing for work in the near future? Well, I can tell you this, that whatever you've been doing in the past is about getting ripped apart. The east wind comes in when things are no longer working. And that means your mind, memories, and beliefs are getting dismantled. It's not necessarily time to see what you're doing next. It's time to see what you're releasing now. And sometimes we want to see what's next before we finish with the old cycle of what we were releasing. And think about, and I don't know where you live, but when a nor'easter on the United States comes up the eastern seaboard, it takes everything. It takes everything from the pilings to the seashells to even cabins, because something needs to be, in this particular situation, something needs to be taken from your foundation in order for you to begin to reassemble what's next. So my guess is that, and I would love to put it in there in the comments if that's what's going on now, that for you, that it's more a matter of what's being disassembled than what's being reassembled. But the good news is that you're on the cycle, and so the reassembly will come as part of the cycle that you're already in now. Someone else said they had a question here? Anyone? Who said they had a question? I heard a voice.
Me. I was just trying to type it.
You were what?
Trying to type it?
Oh, that's okay. You can say it out loud.
Okay, and I'm talking about the directional wind.
Okay.
Silk trade wind, Tuyana. And specifically to your underworld.
I know, right? What's the question about that Tuyana?
Like guides, the part about the underworld journey. And I know it's direct revelation, but I want you to talk about that.
Oh, you want me to talk about that wind? It's not so surprising, Michelle. I've been a student with the winds for quite a while now. And so this Tuyana is a new wind we just discovered, along with the southeast, the southwest, the northeast, and the northwest winds, which I always knew were there. But this wind that takes us to the underworld is a very interesting thing, because on one side of the equator there's a creator wind, and right on the other side is the lord of the underworld wind that takes us down into the underbelly. But this is not really the first time you've seen that wind. It's the first time we've talked about it that way, because if you looked at Ecatel, the Aztec wind, Ecatel went to the underworld too. I'd be curious to do a little more research to see if Ecatel, I can never say that because my Spanish isn't very good, lives by the equator as well. I wouldn't be surprised if we did a little more research on that, because the story of the going to the underworld was that he found his beloved in the underworld, and he brought his beloved back to this world, right? And when the lover was brought back to this world, there was a whole big mess that occurred where everything was dismantled and things like that. So in shamanic journeying, we've learned to go to the underworld for a long time. And also another wind that traveled in the underworld caves is Mari, the Basque wind, that went cave to cave going through the Pyrenees. Now, if you think about it, cave journeys are underworld journeys as well. But this is the first time since I wrote Winds of Spirit that we've really delved into the wind of the underworld as a place that we would visit. And you might have brought that on in a way, because a year or so ago, you told me you wanted to do more shamanic studies, remember? When I first took on my shamanic studies, trust me, I went to the underworld and I stayed there for a very good long time until I really worked with all that was the shadow that kept me from really standing in my power in the light. So so it doesn't surprise me at all that you requested it a year ago and here it is to help you along on your way with it. And I think that it's very interesting.
Very.
Yeah, so I would definitely keep I'd almost look at a journey with it through this year and almost go with that Tuyana and take it, and I'm not telling everyone this. Like I said, she's been around for a few wind breaths. I would probably take it through each direction. So take your compass into the underworld with you and see what lessons you need to learn in the underworld in the east and in the south and in the west and in the north. Imagine doing that consciously. I'm here and I'm inviting this in and really work with it that way.
Thank you.
Remember the round compass we made that one time? That one compass map
Yeah.
where we disassembled it? I might even do that. I might make a round compass map and then label it and cut it apart and work with each quadrant of it. But knowingly that you're going to make, and other people who have done a lot of shamanic work might appreciate this, but knowing that you're going to be making it for your underworld. Map your own underworld.
I
And I'm
just
not
have
telling
to
beginner students to do this. What?
I have to say it's interesting you mentioned about creating a compass
Yes.
because my fair winds for the year is creativity.
We should look at would you remind me? We should look at this as an advanced class. This would be a great advanced class. That's why I'm offering WindWork Basics this spring, is so that we can get some people taking some advanced classes. So I'm not restarting over at the beginning. So I'll do a real concise WindWork Basics. And I really encourage people who want to go deeper with the Oracle and stuff to really join us. The wind does know. Is there another question here? Oh, I see this question. Is it helpful to keep a journal of the questions we ask and the cards we draw? Or is it better to read the messages and take the wisdom at the time and move from there? That's an interesting question. The difference between wind work and other work is that the winds work you. So if you're a journal keeper and you want to keep journals because you like to go back and revisit the information, but there's something in here that I do want to call out. The journal's your choice, but look at how we just told Michelle that she might want to work with like more of a visiony board kind of graphic-y map or something. But this is this is a guide, but this is not the answer. Like in Winds of Spirit, and I hope you've all bought Winds of Spirit now, if you're curious enough to do this, because Winds of Spirit, each wind has about 2 or 3 pages in Winds of Spirit. In this book, each wind gets about 3 sentences or 4 paragraphs or 100 words. It was really hard to really explore the whole depth of the wind. But one thing that I learned in Winds of Spirit and in the apprenticeship is that a lot of the apprentices went deeper than the book, deeper than the information that I brought in about it and researched well about it. And I know that some of the new people who've been coming along, they're very in tune to nature. They're like, they go outside and they ask the winds for direction and they get really profound wisdom. So, yes, as you're getting started, it's probably good to just read a little bit to get a sense of where the wind came from, but that's not what I would want you to journal about. I would prefer if you journaled about that you called to that wind that you're working with, worked with the wind for a day or 2 or 3 or 4 or a week or a month, and got to know it instead of journal post, write a journal article about it for yourself so that you really get to know it. And I think that's what's been so blessed for me lately is that this friend of mine keeps saying, okay, pull a card, Renee's going to read it for you, is that I'm learning as I work with, so if I pull a card for somebody at a reading, I get to, because I can look in their eyes and I'm intuitive, I can see what's going on. And I get to start to relate this win to that person and that circumstance that's going on. So we become a lot more connected to these energies. They're energies. They're archetypical energies that we have at our access to help us navigate this crazy world spin we're in. Does that answer that? Great. Someone else? The first thing I tell Jeannie all the time is people is I say that once you listen to me once, just once, your relationship with the wind is going to start to change. If I could be lecturing to a group of behavioral health people or anywhere, and after they've heard me talk once, they never look at the wind the same. The fact that you're here, they're already communicating with you because you're back and you're here. And whether or not you pay attention to them is the work that is of refinement, and it's the way that you grow in your own use of the oracle. For 25 years, I've used the soul cards. And if I tell you I've done 2,000 readings, it's been a little bit of a learning curve for me, even to not go to the soul cards when an old client calls to see what's going on. And sometimes I do. But then what's really curious for me is if I go to the soul cards and I think I know what's going on there, then I pull these cards and I love what I'm getting here as well. And I think that what happens is every one of you, and right now there's probably 500 people who have these decks, are going to have a different relationship with the energies of these cards. Every single one of you. Some of you are going to go really deep and you're going to know, like when you call to a wind, you know that Vayu shows up. And others of you will probably be, okay, what is this wind going to tell me today? Oh, and forget the whole wind altogether. You're just going to go, oh, unity. True strength lies in humility. All right, that's your message. So when you ask how long it is to study about the winds, I've been now studying about the winds for over 10 years. And I learn more about the winds all the time. I wrote a whole book, and really, when I go back and I think of how much we've learned since I wrote the book, it's mind bending. And the fact that there were still 32 more winds that we found that really had big significance because if you were listening to Michelle, she's having a big significance with one of these winds, that the more people who hold the winds, the more information they're going to provide to us, and the faster people will be able to access their information. Is that helpful? I'm not seeing the Facebook, so you'll have to tell me if that was helpful. Next question. So stick with us, take the WindWork Basics. You know what I noticed? Not a lot of you who are with the WindWalk or Wisdom Oracle came to our last class on the Feng Shui. I'm blown away by that because to me, that gives us a whole new avenue of how to work with the energies in our home and stuff. So if you haven't listened to that class yet, I'd skedaddle right on over to the windwork.org and listen to that because I am like uber excited about the benefits of looking at the winds in the various quadrants of our spaces, because I would think then that would translate to our healing spaces. And there's just so many places to go with this that I'm so excited. Oh, okay. So sacred passages it's a class about how to be with death and dying. And so it just is a way of working with the winds of the spirit. Now, I believe that our spirit comes in through a wind at birth. When you get you might have a spirit relationship before that, but your actual emanated spirit comes in when you take that first wind breath, and it leaves when you take that last wind breath. So to me, the sacred passage has everything to do with the wind. I didn't realize that for years, but I can tell you this. In my late 20s, I started having experiences where I would walk people to the other side. Now, this was long before I'd even taken or thought about taking a shamanic class. I just did it. And it was like, that's really curious. And one time I took somebody to the other side and I met this energy that looked like the Grim Reaper. And in that place, I wasn't afraid because I knew he wasn't for me. I knew it was coming to take a friend of mine who had throat cancer to the other side, and he had some things to work out. Not every death is take that last exhale out and everything is fine. Some, like I was telling you, I worked with a woman with 4-stage breast cancer, and she didn't want to die. In fact, 2 days before she died, I noticed she had attached a cord to me, and I had to sever it and tell her that it wasn't my turn to have the life sucked out of me. And so these ways that we work with the energy around people who are having this sacred passage is really important. And so it's only a 3-hour class, so I can only get to so much of what I can get to, but it's unique and it's been really well received. This is the third time I'm teaching it for the College of Psychic Sciences because the people in it have really gotten a lot out of it. So I hope you would join us on Wednesday. Another question?
Oh, yes, there's a message on Facebook. If you could speak a little bit more about your upcoming walk.
My upcoming walk. And I don't know if any of you have been to some of those sacred places in the UK. They're ancient, and there's some that I'd like to personally walk around because there was one city I went into and I immediately got sick to my stomach, and I had to really deal with an old ancient energy, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. There could have been a lifetime that I was a Roman soldier or something where I had done some damage, and it just came up in that city to remind me. But this is going to be a lovely walk through from town to town, inn to inn. And if you know me, I was a chef. I like good food and I like other things like that, where we'll walk. But last year when we walked, it wasn't, it was a lot of personal stuff. I want to hold the group a little bit more together in terms of what I want people to really come with better questions, to really ask good questions every day when they walk. Because for me, it was so transformative it got me unstuck. It got me writing. In fact, I just sent my book proposal back out after 2 years. When you put yourself out and you want to do something different in the world, it's really risky and really scary. The Pilgrim's Guide it like birthed because of the nature of what happened. But I know that there's a really important thing in the walking, and the walking with a question, and the walking with things that are not working in our life, and a walking to strengthen the things that are working in our life. And I just know that the winds speak to us, but we need to be in a place that's separate from, there's some good walkers in here because I recognize them, who just live more in harmony with nature. But for a majority of us, we're not. We're disconnected. And so to actually disconnect ourselves from the things that we're most connected to in order to have an experience like that is really profound. And when I was younger, like I did the camping up on Salcantay in the 0-degree cold on the hard sleeping ground. And now they have the inns of Salcantay, which if I ever go to Peru again, that's what I will be using, because I don't know, the walking can be its own sacrifice without suffering through. I was talking this other night, I was teaching a group, and my friend came in and said, oh, to these people, you need to stay in the hostels. Well, I don't necessarily believe you have to stay in the hostels to get the experience, because in our last trip, several people took cabs around, okay? They cabbed it from city to city, and I wasn't judgy about whether or not. One took morning walks for hours before she got in the cab. And another one came down with COVID the last day. So Spirit knows what you need, and you will get the experience you need. But Sandra always talks about when she was first doing soul retrievals, her guides told her that people had to actually make the trip to see her, because driving up those windy roads and stuff was part of the journey. A lot of times we've gotten way too comfortable listening to teachers on YouTube and on Facebook, and we don't get out of our comfort zone. We don't get out of our chair. So I'm inviting people to get out of their chair, get out of their comfort zones. And it's a stretch to save the money, to plan and to budget and to do all of that, to leave your family, leave your pets. Those are the sacrifices we make, and so that we get clear and Spirit starts to talk to us. No, you don't have to be an experienced hiker, because I've seen people hike 14,000 feet in Salcantay who were less experienced hikers than most, but they had a better spiritual conditioning. I was not in shape. I was walking a little bit. I was 25 pounds overweight. I was overweight, and I still got good shoes, and I did it. It's a matter of when we set ourselves to that these happen. And then when I got back, I thought, you know what? I really want to walk more. So I think it's time that I get in shape. And then the impetus was there to get in shape so that now I can plan walks for the next 10 years or so. Okay. There's a question. I've just started with the Oracle. I would recommend don't ask unless you are willing to change. Last week I did Drown Draft and oh dear. I've been resisting getting a new car for about a year. All of a sudden, I knew Friday evening that I was to go look for a car the next day. I did so and found what I needed. The cards helped me ready to do what I needed to do. Yes, that's really important. Somebody said in the group recently that I did not like any of the cards that I pulled for this year. So I pulled them again. I remember when I used to do tarot and I wanted the answers to come out the way that I wanted them to come out, and I would ask and ask until I got it. It didn't change the outcome, because these winds are energies that are here to assist you. And so sometimes we need to get pulled out of our comfort zone in order to go get the new car. It doesn't always have to be swirl around the drain. Sometimes we just need a kick in the butt to do it. Oh, the upcoming hike. Go over to the practicalshaman.com site, and there's links to get a free Windwalker reading, buy the Oracle cards, the books, and the Cotswolds, all on the front page. It's really easy to navigate around on my new website. The new WindWork class is at windwork.org. Dave, I feel like this is a conversation with the wind. Yes, it is always a conversation with the wind. I'm pretty windy. It's nice to see you here. All right, we have a couple more minutes for another question. Great. Who likes my spring special, where you get a bag when you buy the Oracle? I think that's really great. I'm very excited about this. I might even have to give you some choices about the colors, either that or get what goes in the box. All right, no more questions? All righty, I'll start to wrap it up. The things that I'm letting you know about is that there's a walk to the Cotswolds in October. There's a new WindWork Basics starting in May, and it's going to be Tuesday mornings at 11. Right now, every Saturday at 10 a.m., there's a half an hour check-in we're going to Insight to Insight. Next week, we're on Insight 7. I do a little reading out of the book just tell a silly little story, and then I shut up and everyone else gets to share. I do give a little feedback, I can't help myself. And then if you haven't gotten the Oracle yet, you can still join the circle. We have over 350 people, I believe, in the Windwalkers Oracle Circle, and I'm teaching monthly. You guys, this is like unheard of this year. I am teaching a lot, and I'm very excited about it. And hopefully some of you are going to join me Wednesday for Sacred Passages, a 3-hour live class. What's interesting with the College of Psychic Sciences does is that they want you to be there live. And I really believe that it creates a really nice circle by doing it that way. And also, there's something else. I can't think of it, but go over to my website. If you're not on my mailing list, sign up. If you sign up, either do a free you can get a free reading over there too if you haven't bought the cards yet. And then you'll get on the list so that you'll know of everything coming up. And if you, two things. If you have the Oracle cards, come over to we have this Oracle group on Facebook. And I'm trying out ways to communicate with people. And if you want to join the walking circle, we have a private message me. We have a WhatsApp chat, and we're sharing nice pictures from our hikes and our walks, and it's getting us all walking. So I really like that little group too. All right, I'm Renee. I'm the Practical Shaman. You can find me over at thepracticalshaman.com or windwork.org. If you haven't left a review for the book yet, please go over to Amazon or Goodreads and leave a review. They matter. They matter to other people who are looking to see whether or not this book is a fit for them. And if you don't like me, maybe you better not leave a review. All right. All right. I'm glad everyone was here, and I want to thank everyone, and I hope it was a good meeting, and we'll do it again real soon.